Hey everyone, welcome to our release kickoff for milestone 15.0. My name is David DeSanto. I'm the VP of Product here at GitLab. I will be your cruise director today on today's voyage. I'm also joined by some of our amazing product team members. That was a tongue twister for myself there. They are in the order they will be presenting. Tim Rizzi, Principal PM for our package stage, and he'll be providing us our ops section updates. Josh Lambert, Director of Product for our enablement section, will be providing our enablement section updates. Melissa Ushakov, Group Manager for the Plan and Ecosystem stages, will be providing our dev section updates. Hillary Benson, Director of Product for our SEC section, will be, of course, providing our SEC section updates. And then finally, Taylor McCaslin, Principal Product Manager for our Model Ops stage, and he will be bringing us home with some exciting MLAI and Model Ops focused updates. This year, we're focused on providing value iteratively across our three product investment themes. They are GitLab hosted first, improve key workflow usability, and extend our lead in CI/CD. Before I hand it over to Tim to kick us off, I do have a short public service announcement, which you're probably all familiar with since I read this every time. On this live stream, we will be discussing our product roadmap, which includes upcoming features and functionality. It is important to note that the information discussed here is for informational purposes only. Please do not rely on this information for purchasing or planning purposes. We plan ambitiously here at GitLab, and all the details discussed in this live stream are subject to change. The timing of products, features, and functionality remain at the sole discretion of GitLab. And with that, I will kick it over to Tim for the ops section.
Thanks, David. I'll share my screen here. So yeah, I just thought it would help to summarize that the ops section includes the verify, configure, package, monitor, and release stages. And like David mentioned, I'm the PM for the package stage. I myself have a quick service announcement. It is 15.0, so this is GitLab's chance to introduce any breaking changes. And each stage in the ops section has at least one breaking change scheduled for 15.0. I recommend that you check out the documentation and see if any of the upcoming changes will break any of your critical workflows, so you could prepare for those. So onto the individual features. David mentioned some of the GitLab themes for the year. I would like to highlight today two of those themes, improving workflow usability and extending our lead in CI/CD. So starting with the usability, the first item that I'd like to mention is an improvement to the repository analytics page. So this was previously difficult to understand because the timeline and scope was not necessarily clear. So if I pull up the design here, I could show you a few improvements that we're making. So first, we're adding a link to the documentation here, just so at any point you could click and see how this page works and what you're looking at. We're also clarifying the timeline of each of these events. So you could see when was test coverage last ran and what is the window of this chart here. We're also adding in some functionality here so that you could download the historic data as a CSV and also helpful tooltips throughout. The next feature I wanted to highlight is adding visibility for shared runner usage for user namespaces. So as a user, I have an account named T Rizzi, and I may have dozens or even hundreds of projects under that namespace. But previously, there was no way for me to understand how many CI minutes I was using and what my shared runner usage was like. So now in 15.0, we'll be adding that data to the usage quotas page. So I could go here and I could see very quickly how my projects are consuming data. And here you could see a table view by project, and you could see your shared runner usage and your CI/CD minutes usage. So hopefully this helps you to better manage your projects under your user namespace. The next item I wanted to highlight is the ability to approve a deployment from the environment detail view. Previously, you could only do this from the high-level environments page, but in 15.0, we're adding an efficiency, saving you a couple of clicks here. So from the details view, you could very easily just click this thumbs up and you could approve or reject a given deployment, and you can add in any optional comments here you want as well. So hopefully this helps you to be more efficient. The next item I wanted to highlight is part of a broader epic to improve our incident timelines. But in 15.0, we have a really cool MVC that we're working on. So when you're managing an incident, you often want to be able to add what you're working on to resolve it. So from the UI, you'll be able to add a new timeline event with the click of a button, and you'll also be able to edit or delete those items just in case you typed in something by accident. So moving on to the theme of extending our lead in CI/CD, I wanted to highlight a couple of runner issues and one package issue. So the first runner issue is automatically purging runners that have been inactive for a long time on gitlab.com. So looking at the data, we saw that there are projects with hundreds of thousands of runners that have not contacted gitlab.com in several months. This can hurt database performance and can impact all users on gitlab.com. So starting in 15.0, we'll be automatically purging those. There should be little impact on you since these have been inactive for a while, but it's just something to be aware of. Also in 15.0, we'll add support for Podman to GitLab Runner. So Podman is an open source Linux distribution that helps you to manage your containers. Previously, we would tell users that we were not going to officially support it and that they should use a custom executor. But after hearing from the community and our customers and working with Red Hat product management and engineering, we've decided to add official support for Podman. So if you're using that service, hopefully this makes your life a lot easier when you're building and deploying your containers. And finally, one change that's near and dear to my heart is starting in 15.0, we will be migrating the gitlab.com container registry to the next generation, which will include significant performance improvements and also unlock a variety of features down the road, such as a newly redesigned UI and security features like signing and of images using cosign. But in 15.0 specifically, we'll focus on migrating the free tier images with less than 100 tags. So this is the majority of the free tier. Beyond that, we will work on premium and ultimate in the coming months. I recommend you check out this blog post that has details about timing and the scope of the migration. Okay, that's it for me. I'll pass it on to Josh for enablement.
Thanks, Tim. I'm really excited about all those enhancements. In particular, I like the usage quota one to see kind of who's using consumption, who's using pipeline minutes and things like that. So that's really exciting to see. I mentioned a lot of folks will find it valuable as a lot of folks use a lot of CI. Let's jump into enablement here. As Tim had mentioned, we have a lot of our focus on deprecations and removals here in the 15.0 release. So you can check out the links on our dedicated removals and deprecations pages. So do please look at those. I'll be focusing on mostly the other features we're working on, but again, we are working on a few of these key large changes like deprecating PG13 starting in 15.0 to be removed in 16.0. We're switching some omnibus libraries we're using, which is a big change, as well as also working to upgrade to Ruby 3.0. So lots of good stuff coming there, kind of mostly under the hood. But that's where a lot of our focus will be this milestone. Moving on to GitLab hosted first, we have a few notable features I want to talk through today. One is we are continuing our work to support the self-service framework and move more and more of our application over to it. The value here is that, as you've heard from probably previous milestones, that we had a lot of custom code for each different type of content we were replicating. And the self-service framework consolidates that into a single common tool and framework. And so we get a lot of new features when we migrate over, and we get a lot of extra velocity, reduced tech debt. So we can go faster in the future with Geo by having a single place to add new features. So looking forward to that. And we're just finishing up the last few pieces of content here with projects and wikis. From there, we are continuing our work to separate and improve our metrics exporter. Currently on GitLab, the metrics exporter is built into all of our web server and other application processes. This means that if it's slow or has a problem, it can impact the overall ability of the larger software to do its job. And so what we are working on here is splitting it out. We've done that in the past release for Puma, and we are continuing on that process here with rewriting the actual exporter itself. We've seen improvements of overall 8 times faster than the old exporter, and it has a bunch of other nice improvements that you can see here on the requirement side of things. So this will overall improve stability and reduce the consumption of resources as well. Over on global search, we are working to support OpenSearch as well as Elasticsearch 8. So we'll have support for both of these two here going forward in 15.0. And the reason this is a major breaking change is that we have to drop support for older versions of Elasticsearch to make this happen. So that is happening now, and we're looking forward to having both of these backends available for our customers to use. Last, we are continuing our work on batched background migrations. These is a common framework for all of GitLab engineers to utilize to improve how migrations are run. So how we modify our database over time to support new features and changes. We've made a lot of enhancements to this migration process that's completely new from the ground up, and it has a lot of improvements over the previous background migration framework that's part of Rails. We can automatically start, automatically tune the performance of migrations, and then restart them as well. So there's a lot of additional stability improvements for these large background migrations as customers' data sets increase, to help make sure we're running them performantly and reliably within the GitLab instance, especially for, again, some very large ones that can otherwise impact the system. So that's it for GitLab 15.0. And from there, I'll hand it over to Melissa to talk about the dev section.
Thanks, Josh. I'm excited about the background migrations work. That's definitely going to be very useful. All right, so I'm Melissa and I'm representing the dev section today. Just as a reminder, dev section is comprised of manage, plan, create, and ecosystem stages. And the highlights for 15.0 mostly aligned to our usability theme, starting with work by the code review team. So we're going to be introducing a way to signal merge requests that need your attention. So this feature is going to be useful because it's going to let users know if they're keeping an MR from moving forward, and allow organizations to deliver code faster. Here's a preview of what it will look like. Up here, you see that the MRs that need your attention are clearly segmented out. So I'm excited about this feature because I want to know if I'm the one blocking an MR. So this gives me a cleaner signal, and it also gives me a really great way to nudge someone if I need their attention. This milestone, we're also introducing GitLab SSHD. So this feature is very useful because it will allow customers on SaaS to set up IP allowed lists for their groups, and it's an additional security measure. And it's been something that's been highly requested by security-minded organizations. Again, aligning to the usability theme, the editor group is going to be introducing a quick way to copy code blocks from the content editor. Today, you have to highlight text and copy paste with your keyboard, which is error prone and looks a little bit like that GIF. So this improvement is going to be particularly beneficial when you're looking at our documentation and trying to try out new features. Moving back to the key workflow theme, DORA 4 metrics are 4 metrics that have become industry standards for measuring DevOps success for organizations. This milestone, the optimized team is going to be adding change failure rate and time to restore to our value stream analytics report. And they're also going to be making usability improvements to group data better, separating key metrics from DORA metrics. Just as a reminder, here's what the page looks like today. And here's what it's going to look like. You see that DORA is clearly separated out. So good improvement. Moving on to the compliance group. This milestone, the compliance group is going to be introducing a way to set merge request approval rules for all protected branches at once. Today, organizations have to go one by one and manually set this for individual branches, which is time consuming, it's error prone, especially if you have a project that has dozens of branches or when you change protected branches. So here's a preview of what that could look like. You see it's very easily applicable to all protected branches at once. Very useful for organizations that are security minded again. The product planning team recently introduced a way to mark epochs as blocking other epochs. In this milestone, we're going to be adding a warning message that will show up when you try to close an epoch that is blocked by another one, and the other epoch hasn't been closed yet. So this is a good reminder for users that unmet dependencies may mean that your work isn't done, or that you have a little bit of cleanup work to do on your epochs before you can close them. This functionality is going to be really similar to what already exists for issues, and we're introducing it to epochs. This milestone, the integrations team is going to be completing work required to make the Jira Cloud app available for GitLab self-managed users. So as a reminder, the integration today looks a little bit like this, and it allows you to view commits, pull requests, and branches from the context of your Jira issues, making it streamlined, less context switching, and allowing users to stay in the tools that they're comfortable in. So this is available today for SaaS in connecting to Jira Cloud, and then it'll be available from Jira Cloud to self-managed. Finally, the foundations team continues to lead the way with Pajamas component migration. So this is migrating over to our design system. This quarter, we've made a lot of progress. We've already migrated over 270 components. And in this milestone, the team's going to start discovery work for next milestone, for next quarter, by basically doing an analysis to see where in our code base we have legacy component implementations for 6 Pajamas components. So those are the highlights for dev. I'm now going to hand it over to Hillary for sec.
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. Share out my screen here. All right. So the sec section has a number of things going on this release. We're largely focused on work that supports our theme of improving key workflow usability. Similar to other teams, we do have a number of removals happening in this release. I'll highlight a couple today, but be sure to check out the full list on your own. So to get started here, it's a big release for the container security team. So first off for them, we'll be moving aspects of container scanning down to the free tier in 15.0. This issue here outlines in detail which features will become core features and which will stay in Ultimate, but the gist is that free users will be able to scan container images in CI and generate a JSON report of dependencies in that image. But then things like the ability to take action on vulnerabilities using, for instance, MR approvals, or to leverage auto remediation, view vulnerabilities in the security dashboard, or the CI pipeline security tab, all those things will stay in Ultimate. And then the container security team will also be migrating vulnerability check rules to become scan result policies. So if you've been following along, security approval policies were released in 14.8 and are the replacement for vulnerability check rules. So vulnerability check will be removed in 15.0, which means this work is all about providing smooth migration path for users to start leveraging scan result policies instead. And then finally, for container security, we'll be removing the container network and container host security functionality that was deprecated in 14.8. The dynamic analysis team expects to ship 2 significant improvements this release. The first is delivery of a new design for the DAST on-demand configuration workflow. So these changes are focused on improving learnability with better explanations of DAST scanning concepts and the options that are available to users, focused on minimizing context switching and on kind of improving the relationship between CI/CD and on-demand DAST configuration. Dynamic analysis team's second major improvement is around parallelizing the processing of API security work in order to significantly speed up scan speeds. So looking forward to that as well. Static analysis team is primarily focused on scanner consolidation this release. So we've been working to transition many of our language-specific open source analyzers to SemGrep, which again is a language-agnostic open source analyzer. So this release, the team is removing ESLint, GhostSec, and Bandit analyzers entirely, and then also removing spot bugs for Java as well. And then they'll be releasing a new major version of security code scan this release. The Threat Insights team is primarily supporting GitLab hosted first work this release, actually, with continued performance and stability work, but they're also working on this enforcing validation of security reports. So we've been talking about this for the past couple of kickoffs, but it's worth a reminder that we will actually begin enforcing schema validation in 15.0. So the new schema validation has been in place for several releases now, but it'll be enforced for the first time this release. So that means that any security report that doesn't conform to the new schema won't be ingested into their security report at all. Previously, we would attempt to ingest these reports even if they didn't match the schema, which often resulted in kind of bad or incomplete data. So this work resolves that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Taylor to take us through what's coming up in ModelOps.
Awesome, thanks, Hillary. Hi, everyone. My name is Taylor McCaslin, and I'm a Principal Product Manager for GitLab's new stage, ModelOps. ModelOps is focused on enabling and empowering data scientists to data science workloads across GitLab. Today, we'll talk about two groups within ModelOps. Both are focused on our key theme of improving key workflow usability. The Applied ML group is focused on making GitLab more intelligent with machine learning. In 15.0, our Applied ML group is starting work on implementing the UI integration for a new ultimate feature called Suggested Reviewers. Suggested Reviewers uses a novel machine learning algorithm to suggest reviewers likely having context to review code changes in a merge request. This UI integration brings the functionality to the existing code reviewers UI, making it easy to choose relevant reviewers for a merge request. There is a blog post from January that overviews our plans with this functionality to make it easier for you to choose a code reviewer. I'll also mention that this is a beta feature that we're opening to Ultimate customers. So if you're an Ultimate customer and interested in trying this out, visit this form and fill it out, and we'll get you integrated into this beta program. Our second functionality is our MLOps group, which is focused on making it easier for customers to run ML and AI workloads on GitLab. With 15.0, we're improving how Python notebooks work in merge requests to improve data scientists' workflows. In a previous release, we've made Python notebooks more readable by rendering them in the commit view. I'll show you what this looks like. Here's a Python notebook, very raw. It's a hard file to read. If I just click this button here, we render it. So this is available today in the commit view. In 15.0, we're bringing this functionality to the merge request view to make it easier to code review Python notebook changes. This is a feature for all GitLab users. So this is just the beginning for ModelOps, and we have many great plans for the future. So be sure to check out our direction page for details on our future plans. And I'll hand it back to David to close this out.
Thanks, Taylor. And thank you, presenters. It was another great kickoff call. So many great things are coming in 15.0. I don't have the amount of time you all went over it, but I want to just highlight a couple things that jumped out to me. For our GitLab hosted first theme, production readiness for our GitLab metrics explorer or exporter, support for Elastic 8.x releases, moving our batch background migrations to GA. That was a tongue twister for me. Provide visibility for our shared runner usage for user namespace, and implement GitLab SSHD for GitLab SaaS. For our improved key workflow usability, merge requests that require my attention, I will state that I'm also looking forward to Melissa having a way to nudge people when she wants merge requests reviewed. Updates to our value stream analytics, including some new tiles for better visibility, blocked epic warning when closing, new workflows for our DAST on-demand configuration workflow. Also very excited about container scanning moving down to free, being able to really drive the community. A lot more here. And migrating the vulnerability check to scan result policies. And then Taylor just touched on some things exciting in our ModelOps area, including integration of our suggested reviewers directly into the code review experience and the improved diffing of Python notebooks. For our last theme of extend our latent CI/CD, we heard about adding a new action named verify to allow users to validate and check the deployment was successful, add support for PodMed to GitLab Runner, Runner SaaS, including macOS, x86-64 limited availability, and then automatically purging runners that have been inactive for a long time. Please check out the release kickoff page for a full list of everything, and please make sure to review the issues, like them, and comment on them, and engage with the team. Before we wrap, I just want to share that everyone's very excited about what GitLab 15 will bring. Please stay tuned for updates on what themes GitLab 15 will be focused on, including things such as AI-assisted capabilities, observability, and enterprise agile planning, and of course, so much more. We'll also review all the awesome value GitLab 14 provided over the last year. And with that, I want to thank everyone for watching, and joining this kickoff call, and have a great day.